defensively. I want to start there with you and talk a little bit about what you guys have put together this summer, and certainly as you heard a little bit ago with Connor talking about the strength of his football team, it may very well might be the defense.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I mean, defense wins championships. Your offense can run behind anyone pretty much, or pass, or find a way around something, but defense, it just comes down to how many points you can hold the other team to. So I expect our team to work as hard as we can and get a couple shutouts this year. Work for that. We got a couple new guys come in, a couple young guys, but they've worked their butts off, and I mean all the returning players, they've kept on working. So I think we'll be all right.
What makes the defense so good I mean, you've been there before, you've seen it, you know it pretty well. What makes it so effective?
I mean, always in the past we've had, big all-state players like Dakota and Harrison and Chase and all them guys, but realistically, I mean, our coach, Wes Oler, he's always putting in time, scouting out all the other teams' offenses and telling us what we need to do to get the shutout and stop their run game, stop their pass game, and everything like that.
You know, Connor talked about just being defending champions and such, and there's a certain amount of expectation on that. When you come back the next year, the other teams look to knock you off, and that's a feather in their cap. How do you guys handle that as a team?
I mean, I think we set it as a goal. I mean, when you come back and you win 4 straight, I mean, only one other team's done that so far, and you don't want to give that up. You want to go for 5 straight, and you just want to kind of makes you even want to work harder than what you should. So kind of gives us all a little bit of motivation.
You know, you're one of the leaders on this football team, and you were last year as well. Talk about being a vocal leader and one of those guys who also does it by example out there on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like in a game, you're in a game situation, somebody loses their assignment or doesn't do their assignment quite right. It's like you can't let someone get down on themselves. That's when they start playing bad and the whole team drags down. You gotta stay on them, keep their spirits up. That way the next play they come in and they do what they're expected to do and they make a play.
Go to the offensive side of the football. As you heard me talk a little bit with Connor about the quarterback situation, you lose Auger from last year, new guy steps in. Have you seen his development, and how do you think, at least at this point, is he more comfortable with the offense?
Absolutely. It's like coming in from the position he came from, it's like he's a whole new player. He's learned what he needs to learn. He's getting his fundamentals down. He's looking pretty good behind the line. So I expect him to throw a little bit this year. Hopefully we can make that work, and always we got our linemen up front blocking for him, and so he can run behind them. I mean, yeah, he's a pretty versatile player.
Before we talk about Friday and your season opener, talk about your week of preparation. You're going through the final steps tonight, and then you hit the lights for real. How has this week gone for you guys?
I mean, pretty good. Monday we always scouted the team ahead, and Tuesday, Wednesday, offensive, defensive day. Thursdays are walkthrough day, Friday night lights, and through the week, a lot of our players actually in school have a lifting program that we lift in, so none of us lose strength through the season. Some people go after school and after practices and put that time in too. So everybody really does their part, and it gets us prepared for the Friday ahead.
You know, I got to say this before I ask you a little bit about your opponent on Friday night. Being a high school athlete is not an easy thing to do. You consider that the amount of time that you put in out here in the classroom for football, in the classroom in general. I mean, it takes a lot of dedication to be a high school football player.
Yeah, it does. One of the way I look at it, and I think a lot of my teammates also look at it, is being out here is a privilege. You got to do what you got to do in school, but everything after that, it's like you got to want to come out here. This is your privilege. This is fun for you to come out here and do.
And not everybody gets a chance to do it either, do they?
No, they don't. It all comes down to, how much you want to come out here and put the work in.
Yeah, very true, because it'll pay off later in life for sure. Talk about Friday night. Go to KNIGHTSTOWN. I know that those first games are kind of hard to figure out because they're running things a little bit differently, so I guess you're going to have a feel-out process. What do you expect on Friday?
Well, like Connor said, I'd hope nothing less than a victory, but I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. Everybody has to get prepared before we leave, and it's a long bus ride over there, so it's kind of like everyone's got to stay zoned in type of thing. You can't daze off. You can't really go to sleep and then wake up and be drowsy. I mean, it's kind of, you got to be ready for a longer period of time from when you get there till time runs out in the fourth quarter. You got to give everything you got and stay focused.
Well, you got to be mentally ready, as you said, and then you got to stay that way the entire game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think football personally is one of the most mentally active sports you have. Every single play, you gotta know what you're doing. You have to execute it along with that, and if something does go wrong, you got to figure out how to fix it.